Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Larry and I'm back with another video. I did not upload these days because I was kind of busy at home and stuff. So today we're gonna be I'm gonna be covering lists in Python. So the first question you guys can ask yourself is, what is a list in Python? And the second question, so I divided this video into three main parts. So I'm first gonna tell you what is a list in Python, and the second is how do I declare a list in Python. In the third part of this video, we're gonna be talking about list methods in Python. So this will help you use lists in Python. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. So I'm gonna answer the first question, okay? I'm just gonna run this cell and just copy. I'll just copy this. So what is a list in Python? Basically, a list in Python is a collection which is ordered and changeable. So it helps you to store numbers, strings, variables, etc. So that's the first question. I just answered the first question. I will repeat for those who didn't really understand me. A list is a collection which is ordered or changeable, and it helps you to store in integers or strings in Python. So I'm gonna move forward to the second question and show you guys how to declare a list in Python. So to declare a list in Python, you have to give it a name, just as a variable. You have to give it a name. So my list will be called, I'm gonna call my list integer. Okay, that's the name of my list, and square brackets, and I'm gonna put integers in my list. So 1 2 3 4 5. So basically I'm saying to Python create a new list in memory, and which contains 1 2 3 4 and 5. So the name of my list is integer, and what it contains is these numbers, which are 1 2 3 4 and 5. And I can run this cell, and now just as I showed you in previous video, how do you do to tell Python like to print something? What do you do? I think for all of you that watched the previous videos, this was I think in the first video, you will know how to do this. You just want to say print and the name of the list. So you want to say print and run. Say, hey Python, show me what is in integer, and it just prints the list that I just declared right here. So I do have 1 2 3 4 and 5. I can declare a list that I'm gonna call string, and store square brackets, and I'm gonna store strings, which are hey, comma. You don't want to forget the comma. If you do forget the comma, you have an error, or if you forget to close the bracket, just as I told you in the first video, what you open in Python, you always want to close it. So comma, hey, good, and I'm just gonna say nice. So I have a new list in Python. So I said to Python, hey Python, create a new list in memory and store the following inside. So I'm storing, basically the list helps me to store different types of like values or anything you want to store. You can store it in list in Python. So I'm gonna run this, And if I say print string, Python will show me what is contained in the string, what is contained in the string, in the list string. So I'm going to say, hey Python, show me what is contained in the list with the name string. So it shows me, hey, good, nice. Okay, so that was how you can declare a function, a list in Python. And in Python you can have a list containing numbers, which are integers, and strings. So I'm going to create a new list and I'm going to call it int string. Okay, and I'm going to give it the following. I'm going to start the following in it. I'm going to say 1, 2, colon, quotation mark, hey, and Larry. So I'm going to run this cell, and what I want to do next, I want to say print int string. So it shows me what is contained in the list. So there's 1, 2, hey, and Larry. So this is completely legal to do in Python. In other languages like Java, you can do this thing, you cannot do this thing, but in Python this is completely legal. So now let's say I wanted to access the first element, which is 1 in this list. How do I do that? All these elements in Python, they have index, and the index of 1 is 0, the index of 2 is 1, the index of hey is 2, and the index of Larry is 3. So let's say I wanted to access 1 in Python. So I'm going to say hey Python, show me what is print, show me what is the first element in the list in str. How do I do that? I'm going to say str, that is the name of the list, okay, square brackets and 0, and run it. It shows 1. Why does it show 1? Why does it show 1? Because 0 is the index of 1. So I go in the Python goes in the list and takes the first element, which is 0 in this case, and prints it. So if I was to put 1, okay, and run it, it would show 2 because the index of 2 is 1, and so on. So let's say I wanted to print Larry. Okay, you can say you can easily put 3. There wouldn't be any problem. You would print Larry, no problem. But I can also say -1. Okay, so it would show Larry because as the index of this list can be 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, as well as it can be -1, -2, -3, and -4. So that's how it works in Python. So in this case, the index of Larry can be -1, the index of hey can be -2, the index of 2 can be -3, and the index of 1 is -4. So to show you that I'm not lying, if I was to say -4 and run it, it prints 1. So it doesn't matter of the side of the list. So that's how you can do it. The last element in the list, or the last item in the list, will always have the index -1, and the first one will always have the index that is the side of the negative, the length of the list. So talking about the length, let's say I wanted to find the length to figure out what was the length of my list. I could just say length. I could just say this is a built-in method in Python. So here I just went too fast. So I can just say, I will just copy this, and now we're going to see what are the different methods in Python. So let's say I had a list like in integer right here. I wanted to know what is its length, like what is the length of integer. Let's say I didn't know the length of integer, or somebody just came and said, oh hey, can you help me figure out what is the length of this list, and I don't know what it contains. So there's a built-in method in Python that was predefined, or you can see it as a function. That's what we saw the other time in the last video. So this thing were done by Python programmers. So you just have to call the function and it would just work, no problem. So if I was to say, hey Python, print length, okay, length, that is a built-in method in Python, length integer, okay, and I was to run it, it gives me 5. So there's how many elements in the list? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's correct. If I was to do the same thing with string, the list string, okay, and I run it, it gives me 3, because there's 3, because the list contains 3 elements. That is, hey, good and nice. So that is how you find the length of a list in Python using the built-in function, or usually they are called methods called length, and you want to use that. Or in this case, I can say this is a actually this is a function. This is not a method. This is a function. That is, length is a function, a built-in function in a list of list. So moving on, I'm gonna show you the first method that you can use on the list. Let's say you had this list, okay, and you wanted to add 6 in this list. How will you do that? I know most of you would just say, oh, you just come here and just put a comma and add a 6. Yeah, that's correct, but let's say you weren't able to do that. Like you just had a list that was given to you in the function, and you just had to add an element at the end of the list. So there's a built-in method in Python. There's a built-in method in Python that is called append. So to use the built-in method called append, you wanna first you want to type the name of your list. In this case, I'm gonna use integer dot. That is a dot notation in Python. Dot the name of the method, okay. Name of the method is append, and Python knows already what is append. So I'm just say, hey Python, in the list integer add the number, let's say 6, okay. Python goes, it was done already, but nothing is showed because I'm just calling this method on this list. So now if I was to print the list integer, okay, and I run it, it shows that 6 has been added, because before it was 1 to 5 and now it's 1 to 6. So the number 6 has been added to the list. And I can do the same thing with the list string. Let's say I was to say string dot append hello, okay. I'm gonna run it and I'm gonna print string. So it has added hello to the list. So I can see it always adds the one it, like this, in this case it was a string, it always adds the element we want to add to the end of the list. That's how this method works in Python. So to add an element in the list, you want to use the built-in method in Python called append. And how do you remove an element in Python? How do you remove an element in Python? You don't just want to go and just delete the 5 right here. No, that's not a good way to do it. There's also a built-in method done by Python programmers in Python that is called pop. So how to use it, I'm just gonna once more call the name of my list, in this case integer dot pop. If I just leave it like this, name of integer dot pop, it will just remove the last element in the list called integer. So in this case, it will just delete the number 5. I'm gonna run it, and when it deletes the number, in this case it's not number 5 because I just forgot I added 6 at the end of the list. So there's the no integer, there's the no list integer right here. So there's 6, and it deleted 6, and it printed 6 as well. So now if I print the list integer, okay, I run it, it shows 1 to 5 because the 6 right here was deleted. And if it wasn't really clear, I'm gonna do it one more time. Okay, that pop, it deleted 5 in this time around. It deleted 5. So now if I was to print integer again, if I was to print integer again, now I have 1 to 4. So that's how this method works with every single list in Python. So you can use it on an integer list, on an integer and string list, or on a string list. And you can use it another way. Let's say you have okay, integer dot pop, let's say 0, right? I want to see if you will see what this is gonna do. I'm just gonna run it. It deleted 1. Why do you think it deleted 1 right here? The number 1 was deleted from the list. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 1 was deleted. So what has been done right here? What did Python do? Python went through the list, looking at the number with index 0, and as I told you before, then the first number has the index 0 right here. So it went through the list and it saw 1 was the number that has the index 0, or that had the index 0, and it was deleted from the list. So now let's print integer, the list integer again, and now there is 2, 3, and 4. So you can use this method as well, just like as I just use it here. Just give the index in, just put your index of the index of the number you want to delete in the parentheses, and it will delete the particular number you want to delete from the list. So let me do it one more time. Integer, oh, let me show you something first. Let's say I was to print a 0. Oh, that's not I don't want to print a0, that's integer 0 because that's the name of my list. Now 2 has the index of 0. So just before 1 had the index 0, but since 1 was deleted, all the numbers were moved forward, and now 2 has the index 0, and 3 has the index 1, and 4 has the index 4, or if you want to go backward, 4 has the index -1, 3 -2, and 2 -3. Okay, so I'm gonna use this method one more time as I did before. Okay, integer.pop, let's say 2, let's say 2. Run. So 4 was deleted. Okay, 4 was deleted from the list, but let's say now there is, since 4 was deleted from the list, let me print this for you one more time. So now there's 2 and 3. So this index is 0 and this one is 1. Let's say I was to say I was to use this method again. Oh, why did I go doing this? Okay, but with the number 2. Okay, with the index 2. There's a index out of range, because there's no number in this list that has an index 2, because the index starts from 0 and the next number has the index 1. So there's no number in the list that has the index that has an index of 2. So you want to be careful with that. So enough of that. Let's move to the next method in Python. So this would be the last one. Let's say you wanted to delete every single element that was. I'm just gonna run this I'm just gonna run this cell right here, so we can have all the elements again. In the integer. So I'm just gonna print integer to see if everything went correctly. Okay. Run it. It didn't go as I wanted it. I'm just gonna run it. Okay. Run this one. Okay. Print again. So now, okay, it's good. Everything's good. So now I have in my list integer 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's say I wanted to delete every single element in this list at once. Okay, without every time doing pop, because that's tiring. So how am I gonna do that? This also a built-in method in Python called clear. Okay. I don't know, I couldn't speak right there. So I'm gonna use the built-in method in Python called clear. Oh, I don't know why I can't say this word. Enough of talking. Let's go. I'm just gonna use it. Okay. I'm gonna use it on integer clear. That clear. I don't know. It's so difficult for me, that word. I don't know why, but whatever. So I'm just gonna say integer.clear. Let's run. So actually I told Python right here, Python delete all the elements of the list integer. So let's see if Python actually did what I asked him to. Let's print the list integer. Okay. Oh, I can't even type, I can't speak. Let's run it. So now there's no element in the list integer, everything was deleted. So now this is an empty list. Okay, just an empty list. And now I didn't show you at the beginning of this video how do you declare a list, an empty list in Python. To declare an empty list in Python, you just have to give it a name in just square brackets, and that's an empty list in Python, and that's correct. And if I was to print A, run it, that's an empty list because A has no number. And to, just as I showed you before, to add an item or an element in the list, I'm just gonna say a.append 1, and I'm gonna print A. Okay, and it has the number 1 in it. So if I say again a.append 2 and run it and print A, okay, and run it, yeah, the number 1 and 2. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, as usual, like, share, comment in case you have any problems. And I hope to see you in the next video. And I think in the next video we'll still be talking about list, because I'm going to show you other methods in Python that will help you use list better. So thank you for watching. I will catch you in my next video. Peace.